This is a swoosh, this is a swoosh. Whether you call it an arch, swish, swirl or swoosh, this visual element is the last great cliché of 20th century logo design. In September 2020, Intel removed the iconic swoosh from their brand, effectively killing one of the last major examples in public consciousness. So where did this cliché come from, and is it at long last dead? The world's favorite swoosh was designed in 1971 by Carolyn Davidson. Nike's tick mark swoosh is truly a best case scenario. Appropriately, it connotes the dynamic movement of sports and was given proportions that would work well on a shoe. Also, it was different from what other brands in footwear were doing at the time. Still, there is nothing inherently interesting or great about the swoosh itself. The reason Nike's brand became so iconic is years of expensive marketing and the reflected glory of the teams and athletes it has associated itself with over the decades. Another field where the swoosh makes sense is aeronautics. Boeing's logo and the NASA meatball, as awkward as it is, are completely justified in using an orbital swoosh. But in the late 1990s, we started to see a new breed of swoosh logo, one devoid of any meaningful connection to the companies they were for. I believe two major factors laid the foundation for this trend. Desktop publishing was a turning point in the de-professionalization of design. Well into the 1980s, it was simply not possible to set up as a solo designer due to the mechanical and technical processes involved in making high-fidelity artwork. Digital tools changed that, and in the 90s, features like 16-bit color monitors, larger, cheaper hard drives, and more powerful processing finally meant that graphic software could run on a high-end consumer PC. Packages like CorelDRAW and Macromedia Freehand were accessibly priced, and the cottage industry of desktop publishers, both with and without formal education in graphic design, flourished through the 1990s.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
Simultaneously, the dot-com bubble starting in the late 90s until the crash of 2002 gave birth to our modern concept of the startup. This created a surge of thousands of new companies, all looking for logos on a shoestring budget, with the additional twist that many of these companies had only the faintest whiff of an idea behind them. Startups today can seem built on a premise scribbled on the back of a napkin, but compared to the original dot-coms, those might as well be blueprints for the Burj Khalifa. We're talking about the early dial-up days of the internet, and business plans often amounted to a domain name, a handful of buzzwords, and some hand-waving. So how does a self-taught desktop publisher in 1998 make a logo for a company that barely knows its own value proposition? Enter the Millennium Swoosh. You don't need a fancy design education to do this, or this, or this. Just
put
a swoosh
on it.
And boy howdy did they. From there, the swoosh entered the cultural zeitgeist, and its association with these dot-com startups made it a visual shorthand for injecting a new, youthful energy. Soon, established brands began co-opting the style, some more successfully than others. Chances are, if a major brand added a swoosh to their logo, a rebranding took place sometime between 1995, if they were ahead of the curve, and 2005, if they were behind the times. Today, it's rare to see a major global brand using it, though a few vestiges still remain: Burger King, Head & Shoulders, and, until recently, Intel. Let's examine two remaining major brands to see how the swoosh can be used for good or for ill. Amazon launched in 1994 with a very different logo from what we can see today. It was only in 2000, after multiple iterations, that they introduced the current logo, designed by Turner Duckworth. Let's break down what Amazon's swoosh has going for it that most don't. Amazon calls itself the Everything Store, where you can buy everything from A to Z. The swoosh arrow of the Amazon logo literally connects A to Z. Visual wit is similar to wordplay, just like a homographic pun allows for two simultaneous meanings from the same phrase. This logo features the visual equivalent. Not only is the swoosh in this logo an arrow, but it's also a smile. It's not one or the other, it's both simultaneously. If the arrowhead were solid or changed in form, this dual meaning would vanish. This logo clearly shows care and effort. The letter forms are based on Officina Sans used in the logo which preceded this version. This lowercase a has a spur, the typographic term for the small tail. The logo has been carefully constructed to create one smooth, continuous arc originating at the base of the spur. The Z also has been altered to create clear space around the arrowhead, and the stem at the base has been arched to match that line. Isolated by itself, it looks very odd, but it fits together perfectly within the logo. These three elements all contribute to a successful logo. You don't necessarily need all three. Nike's logo, for example, isn't particularly witty or meaningful, but it is well executed. The sad thing about most swoosh logos is they're not any of these things. They're usually meaningless, boring, and lazy. If you're unfamiliar with Capital One, this is no small-time business. This is a bank with operations across multiple countries and a place in the top quarter of the Fortune 500. So what is this swoosh doing here? Is it relevant to what they do? No. Is it interesting? No. Is it well executed? Visually, it throws the balance of the logo off, which was already suffering under the weight of its awkward typography. Now this red boomerang is putting visual weight on the right-hand side. The swoosh also strikes through the O in one, but because it clearly would have been distracting and made it illegible, they've exploded it and removed the part which would be inside the O's internal negative space. This logo could have been less awful with the swoosh over the name, but that would have made it look too similar to their rival Citibank. Fun fact, the founder and CEO of Capital One is also part owner of the Washington Capitals hockey team. In fact, he temporarily changed the logo on their homepage in tribute when the team made the Stanley Cup in 2018, which proves that 1, the logo still had room to get even worse, and 2, that the only connection between this bank and this swoosh is the CEO's love of hockey, which is completely fucking stupid. The worst thing about this logo is that it was designed in 2008, well past the point where the swoosh had become cliché. So is the swoosh dead? If only things were that simple. It's safe to say that its moment in the big leagues is over. Major companies with big branding budgets are savvy enough to know that the swoosh feels dated. You're more likely to see it used by small companies with no budget for a unique logo, and fair play, branding is not the #1 concern for every business. The swoosh requires no effort or skill to throw together, so it's a common solution in logo templates and on lowest common denominator marketplaces like 99 Designs. The swoosh flourished because of its ambiguity. It makes a vague gesture towards meaning without any specificity. You can justify its usage with vague adjectives like dynamic, energetic, vibrant, but under scrutiny it falls flat. It's a graphical equivalent to filler text. Your eye just kind of glances over it like a stone skimming across a pond. For a graphic designer, seeing a swoosh logo is just seeing a missed opportunity to say something, which is why I rated swoosh logos so poorly in my logo roundups. For a local accountant or dentist, a swoosh logo says, nothing to see here, just a generic logo. And fine, I don't pick my dentist by the quality of their branding, but for municipal institutions, a generic swoosh logo says, we have nothing of value. No heritage, no history, nothing to be proud of. We have nothing worth celebrating here. And that's a tragedy that is all too common. There is a solution to this, but that's a video for another day. I hope you enjoyed this little video on the history of the swoosh logo and why I'm glad to see the back of this trend. Please give it a thumb if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more geeky dives into the world of design. My name is Linus, thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Swoosh. Swoosh.